good Thursday evening.
Mm.
I had to think about it. Uh,
You got
happy.
Braves on the warpath in the background.
Yeah, let me take care of that. Hold on. Do that.
Oh, what's up, folks? How y'all doing? It's another edition of DC Sports Rundown. We got some Commanders talk today. A lot of Commanders talk today. Um, just got to take care of a few things before we get started from a sound standpoint, and then it's on the way. But a couple things you want to think about that we're going to ask about today. Like three big question marks about this team going into camp. We're going to talk about Julie Donaldson being relieved of some of her duties, and what does that entail? And then we're also going to go into three position groups. So just sit back, relax. We're going to do like we always do on a Thursday. It's the DC Rundown with your boys, the big guy KG over there, and I'm the Midnight Rider. Let's go.
All right. I had to step off for a minute because I didn't know I was picking up all of that. But that's what we picked up.
She wanted all the smoke.
Yeah, well, hey me. But before we jump off into this DC Sports Rundown, today is July 27th. Tough day for me. I'll say that. 30 years ago today. 30 years. 30 years. Reggie Lewis passed away at Brandeis University while he was just casually shooting baskets. I always call 93 the worst summer of my life. And just a quick rundown of why I say that. 93, of course, I know the Midnight Rider get a kick out of this, but the Fab Five lose to UNC. That's the year of timeout. Okay? You lose the UNC. That wasn't even the summer, but that was just like that bad patch. So that was what, April. We come down to June 4th, I lose my uncle on a Friday. Then June 7th, one of my favorite players in NBA, Drazen Petrovic, is killed in a car accident. The end of June, I lose one aunt. I lose one of my grandmother's sisters. Middle of July, I think it was the 21st of July, I lose another one of my grandmother's sisters. So we come into July 27th. Her funeral was on the 28th. I'll never forget it. We were sitting at the old PG hospital I was born in. My aunt had burnt her arm. She was putting away some chicken grease and it was still hot. She put it in a glass jar. And when she went to go wipe it, it slit the glass jar clean off, burned her forearm pretty bad. So we were at the hospital for that. And I remember sitting in the emergency room talking to Dwayne. And we were there, and the 10 o'clock news came on. And it said, basketball star Reggie Lewis passes away early today. And I remember sitting up, like, what? And we were sitting in the back we were sitting away from the TV. So I went and got up close to the TV. And I was devastated. I was hurt because I'm like, Reggie Lewis, Celtics, Boston, Baltimore. This is a local cat to me. This is a dude that I've heard stories about for as long as I can remember, because my uncle used to always tell me about how good that Dunbar team was in Baltimore with Muggsy, Reggie Williams, David Wingate. Reggie Lewis was on that team. They went undefeated. They were one of the best high school teams locally to give anybody the business. They went undefeated one year, and I think they lost 2 games the year before that. So I think they had like a good 3-year run. But I remember hearing about this. And I've always been a Reggie Lewis fan. And for that to happen, it was quite possibly that was the end of the worst summer of my life. I haven't had a summer as bad, not even close, and I don't want to. But 30 years ago today, we lose Reggie Lewis, and we sit there and we think. And I've done so many what if shows. What if Len Bias would have lived? They picked Reggie Lewis. They would have carried the Celtics from '87 probably into the 2000s.
See, and it's funny you say that because I think if they have Len Bias, I think Reggie Lewis becomes redundant. So Reggie Lewis ends up having his career somewhere else as opposed to in Boston. Like, this is one of those things where, you talk about stuff like the quantum verse, the Spider Verse, like the chain reaction from that. What's the movie where the guy's on the radio and like he's talking to somebody that's in the future and like they start doing stuff and like changes the way the world. I mean, we can even go back to Back to the Future and how like the picture started disappearing when his mother was going, was more attracted to him than to his dad. So just little things like that we talk about, but that kind of has the thing of, if there's Len, is there Reggie? What happens in that stretch with Len and Larry? How much does Larry play? Does Larry become a role player with that back and extend his career another 5 or 10 years?
Well, to be honest, your first question was, does Reggie become a Celtic? I say yes, because he was local. He went to Northeast University. So they knew about him when nobody else did because they got to watch all that. So I say yes, he still would have wound up a Celtic. As far as what happens with Larry, Larry said that when Len came, he was like, I would have hung it up at 88. He said, I was done. He was like, I knew I was done. They wanted to detach my Achilles and take the bone spurs out. He's like, I was done. But I think it would have prolonged McHale's career. And there is no prolonging Robert Parrish's career. Robert Parrish had a long, fruitful career.
Right.
But I think it would have prolonged that career of with Lewis. You put Reggie at the 2 and Len at the 3. That's your 1-2 punch right there. And then you think you'll get D Brown. You would have had Sherman Douglas coming off the bench. You would have had some talent. Boston had talent, but they just couldn't. They were a playoff team in the early 90s. It's just that once Larry retired, Reggie was supposed to take over, and then he got sick. He passed out in that Hornets series.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was down. He was killing them then. I think what he had, I want to say 17 points in 13 minutes. And he was dogging them. He was killing them like it was nobody's business. But it's always what if. And this is one of the things that kind of, it takes me down a road because I started talking about the Boston Celtics, started talking about Len Bias, Reggie Lewis. My cousin Robert was a big Boston Celtics fan. He said, all this talk you do talking about Boston, I'll be wondering, are you really an undercover Boston fan and not a Bulls fan? No, I'm a Bulls fan through and through. But I got an appreciation for the legacy that is the Celtics and the legacy that is the Lakers, because that rivalry and those teams are the reason why we have what we have. So you got to give appreciation to it. And I love discussing it. And, you know, if you go through and you just be like, man, well, if that all would have happened, and if you think about it, Boston had some lean years in a couple decades, but it was only like a year or two. And then they bounced back and they in the finals. They won a championship in every decade except the 90s. And I always said the greatest matchup of the 90s, Jordan and Pippen versus Bias and Lewis. I think that would have been a dominant matchup in the East. Would Jordan have 6 championships? Probably not. I think he would have 5. But I think Houston wouldn't have won those 2. Because I think Boston would have been too strong for him. But then if you think about it and you keep moving and you keep going into the Spider-Verse, Paul Pierce was drafted in 98. and it would have been like you just keeping the tradition going. You drafted another 2-guard small forward to fill in the role, and you just kind of keep going. You just rebuilding. You got Antoine Walker, so you would have had, damn.
You wouldn't have been in his position with all those guys. You're talking about guys that got drafted in the lottery because Boston was bad. They wouldn't have been there.
That's true. And I'm thinking of, Antoine Walker. I'm like, you would have had all that, but see, I'm going too far. I'm jumping too far ahead of myself.
Right.
But I always say, if history stayed the same, but they lived, but if I say history stayed the same,
but you can't let it stay the same because the ultimate X factor is what they would have done as a team all those years.
Exactly.
So you wouldn't have gotten Antoine Walker when you're 56-24 or whatever the record is, and you're finishing third in the East or second in the East. So
that's true.
It kind of plays itself out. That's why I say it's that ultimate what if in that guessing game. But you always got to put the dominoes in place because none of the dominoes fall differently.
Yeah, and that is absolutely, positively true, because I've sat down and I've thought about so many scenarios, man. Being honest, I can't say that it would have turned out right, but damn it would have been pretty good. Reggie Lewis last season, he played 80 games. He didn't shoot threes really well, but 47% from the field, 86 from the line. That was a career high that year. 3.7 assists, career high. 4.3 rebounds, stealing a half, career high. And he averaged a career high 20.8 points a game. And that was just going to go up. That was definitely going to go up. He had 17 points in 13 minutes in that last playoff game. That was game 1. 17 points in 13 minutes. And to think, he was the bridge. Reggie Lewis is actually the bridge between those 80s Celtics teams into the 90s, because he played with DJ, he played with Bird, he played with McHale, he played with Parrish. And he was going to be the one that took all those lessons that those guys dropped. He was supposed to bring it on to the next. So, not going to get too deep into it because I feel it already. I feel the emotions coming. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave it off that. And just say rest in peace. Continue rest in peace, Reggie Lewis. All those detractors and people that got so much to say in books and sports publications, when you want to say something, like my mother used to say, suck an egg. All right. Now, we got training camp started. NFL training camp for the Washington Commanders have started. Started all around the league. We got a couple of injuries before we get started with the Commanders. Jalen Ramsey can miss 6 to 8 weeks with knee surgery for a meniscus issue. Joe Burrow went down with a calf issue. Say it's a strained calf. But
from the tape, it looked like when he was trying to run, it looked like he either caught a Charlie horse or it was one of those ones where you just felt some tightness and he pulled up. So I can see that being a couple weeks and then him getting some rest because he really don't need too much work anyway.
True. Now I'm going to tell you something. I'm not a medical expert, but I play one on TV. When Kevin Durant had a strained calf, we went in depth. I'm talking about we went in depth, pulled up medical charts, everything. There's a difference between a sprain, a pull, and a strain, and a sprain, a pull, and a strain. There's differences.
Okay.
A sprain is swelling around the muscle and everything. A pull is when you pull the muscles too far, it hurts. A strain is actually a slight tear. It's a slight tear in the muscle. And normally when people have calf strains, depending on what area the calf strain is, you have to watch that Achilles. Because if it's a lower calf strain, it puts pressure on the Achilles. And I said this before Kevin Durant came back. And if you don't believe me, we can pull up the tape. I said Kevin Durant actually has a partially torn Achilles. I said, he needs to rest. When he came out and he had ice on his lower calf, I said, that's not a calf strain. He has a partially torn Achilles. He does not need to come back. They rushed him back. What happened? He tore his Achilles. Now, if this is a calf strain, rest and recuperation is the best friend. You got 2 weeks of camp, then you got 3 weeks of
preseason games.
Rest. Take your time and rest. Get it massaged and stretched out and worked so it doesn't.
You don't want Ohio quarterbacks getting massages. No, I'm just saying. I'm just gonna say some things you gotta be careful with. Those Ohio guys. There's one in particular. You talk about massages. I don't know, buddy. But no, that medical report was brought to you by KG and our sponsors, Not a Damn Soul. So you just want to never mind.
Oh, shit. But you gotta, I'm not going there with you. You gotta rest. Oh man. What's going on, Ross?
There's a comment.
Get in on this thing, man.
There's another comment.
Take no referrals from Deshaun. Lower, Esteban. Lower. If you've never seen Family Guy, you wouldn't understand it. So while he was telling Esteban to go lower. So anyway.
All right.
Anyway, coming back home, bringing it back because we're not going off the rails. Not this early, at least. The Midnight Rider asked he asked
no. Let's go back to the other thing first. Let's take care of Julie first.
Okay. Julie Donaldson. She has been relieved of some of her duties, and I've just been reading. I'm a comment reader. I love to read comments. I love to hear what people have to say about certain things. And I didn't like the comments, but she's been relieved of her senior vice president of broadcasting duties. She'll still be on the radio broadcast in the booth and everything, but her contract was not renewed, is what it is.
So her weekly content, her running the digital side of that is no longer, but she's still with the team in the capacity of game day broadcast. Is the way I read it.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. Everybody's saying, well, why did Ron do this? Ron does not handle the office side. That's the office side. That's Jason Wright. And I'm hearing some rumblings and mumblings. Don't know how true it is, so take it as a grain of salt. But what I'm hearing is Jason may not be back next year.
Why'd you put May? I don't think he's back next year. I think they're going to come in and whatever they can do. And yes, the radio booth is the same as far as we know for right now.
Yeah, it's going to be Julie, Bram, and London. And I'm not sure. And Logan Paulson, is he going to be on the sideline? Or is he going to do pre-game?
I think he was sidelined last year.
Okay.
So, but we got time because that might change. If that doesn't change this year, that'll definitely change next year. But this guy has a sports franchise, so he has guys that do content, and maybe there's a guy on the Sixers side that he loves, but he's the assistant content person. So why not bring him here for content? You may have a president somewhere that he may not know football, but he knows the business side, and you can keep your business structure. And then also, if you look at the Redskins / Commanders website, I think beside Ron Rivera's name, it just says head coach. It doesn't say anything else. So I think there's some things that they're going to start moving away from, and they're definitely moving away from this coach-centric thing because it's not in their belief system. And I think Ron can have success and stay as the head coach, but I think they'll still do something anyway. And I think this is a great point. There is a disconnect between Ron and Jason, but I think that disconnect is more so because you got two guys trying to fight, two alphas trying to fight to show who's the alpha, who's the one running the show. Because you got new people coming in, so you got to put on the best show for them so they can keep you around. And I think that's why they kind of had some words or kind of going in different directions because they were both trying to establish their dominance.
Here's the thing. Now this is just Ross says there's a disconnect between Jason and Ron. Remember the comments earlier this year. I've heard, not trusted source, just a source. You know, the streets are talking. Players is watching. Which is all in your shit. That's the cause of it. What do you know? I mean,
here we go.
The dynasty. Rockefeller Records. Anyway, what I'm hearing is Ron may not be the coach in 24. Eric Bieniemy may be your head coach. Ron may move over to the business side and take Jason Wright's job and become president. That's something I heard. It's a theory. Like I said, take it as a grain of salt. But if it happens, remember you heard it here first. That's number one. Number two, if Julie Donaldson is no longer the SVP, Senior Vice President of Broadcasting, that means she's not doing command center, like you said, the daily stuff. She's not doing any of that. You have to bring in somebody to do that. Number one. Number two, are we going to see another reshuffle of the broadcast booth for regular season, not preseason? Because preseason, you know, it's like whoever's available. But regular season, do you think we're going to see a reshuffle?
I don't think you're going to see it now. I think everything's in place. Like he said in one of his presses, like we're too far. The can is too far down the road for us to make changes right now. Because then you'd have to get, you know, whoever the play-by-play person is, you'd have to get some kind of chemistry with him and two other people, and you only got 3 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
Normally when you change your booth or anything like that, you make that change early. You may not announce it till right before training camp, but you won't. You don't just start that because you're doing testing. You got guys calling dummy games on, you know, and seeing how they sound, seeing how they mesh. So I don't see that change until next year. And I think he kind of even said that. And then with the Ron going upstairs, I might be wrong. I just don't see a Ron going upstairs move because I don't think analytically he is what they want. I think we're going to get some 39, 40-year-old guy with a pocket protector, and like he just built his own computer. I mean, it's going to be one of the smartest guys in the room, and I think he's going to be the person that takes them into the future. Now, Ron may stay on as an advisor, but I think the only way Ron stays, and this is why the only reason I think he's going to be the head coach next year, is if this team plays well. Then I think you got to keep him as the head coach. But you can do everything else you want in terms of team president and the assistant coach. I mean, not the assistant coaches, but the front office.
Let's get to the comments because Ross is on point. He on point as usual. Remember, I said that Ross said Eric was going to be our coach and Ron was going to be kicked upstairs. Ross did say that. He did say that.
And I turned around and said exactly what I just said again.
Yeah, he said that. And he hoped that when we talking about the shakeup of the broadcast team, he says, I hope so. I'm not a fan of Bram. Bram Weinstein, I loved his show when he was on 980 for a little while. It was pretty good. Huh?
I think he still does a show on 630.
Yeah, on 630. No, he was on 980. He was pretty good on 980. Okay. It was missing something. But you got to realize that 2 to 4 block is some big shoes to fill. You got to fill the shoes of a legendary dude that was 6'10" and wore a towel over his shoulder. So you know that 2 to 4 window is like that's prime real estate. You got to be able to take that and take it to the next level. And they put him in that, and I was like, no, this ain't it. But Bram he's neither hot nor cold. And Ross say he ain't the guy. No. But I'm going to say it. I wouldn't mind Sheehan doing the games. I wouldn't mind him doing color. I'm a Kevin Sheehan guy. Damn, did you run away? Are you leaving?
I didn't leave. I just had to make a face because I didn't want that face on air.
I'm a Kevin Sheehan guy, so I like Sheehan. I've always liked Sheehan. Anytime I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to listen to you, that's good. Ross say they may blow everybody out. Next year will be the overhaul for everything. I believe that too. I believe that we're talking broadcast booth. Of course, you want to go get former players, but I always wonder why they never gave Theismann a chance. Why they never gave Theismann a chance to do regular season games as color. He does the preseason.
Honestly, I can't answer that. I just don't. I don't know. I just wasn't a Joe guy. I loved him with Mike Patrick, but I felt like towards the end, maybe it's a travel for Joe. You never know. It might be more of a Joe thing than it is a what's the word I'm looking for? Than a Redskins thing. You know, it might be something where, you know, because Sonny was in the booth and maybe him and Sonny. There's a myriad of ways of things that could have affected this. Maybe he doesn't want to do that every weekend. You know, that's a commitment. You're going into a town on a Friday, maybe a Saturday morning when the team goes out, and you're there till they come back.
Well, I'll say this, and Ross said, I meant that when Ben said the smartest guy in the room.
So I think he's talking about he ain't that guy.
Yeah. Ron ain't that guy. Or what's his face? This new guy. And he says, I think that may be on the table. So
yeah.
Bram ain't that guy.
Okay.
Bram ain't that guy. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. I'm looking up something real quick. We're talking about Joe Theismann. And I think Joe Theismann being on the table, that would be pretty good.
You don't think Joe's at that age where, I mean, it's like he's kind of the age where maybe he lost his fastball a little bit. Because I mean, he was okay at the end towards his TV part, but I don't know. I think you got to get. I mean, I don't like. They talked about B. Mitch. I don't like B. Mitch. I definitely don't like Doc. No offense to Doc. I love Doc. The comments, the person, the radio host, the commentator. I think he just leaves too much on the table for me.
What do you mean?
He talks about because every other comment is like, you know, needing a hero and a carnivore and he's a Wolverine and he's a this and that, but he doesn't always go in depth on the breaking down of the play. And that's the only thing I'll say. And I said that the whole time.
See, for this is what
Ross. But I loved him in college football. I love him in college. I just don't love him for my team.
Ross said for Theismann doing broadcast may be on the team.
It is.
It's a manhood issue. Yeah, but see the thing with Doc, straight Neanderthal nation. That's all it is. When he was on the sidelines, number one, everybody would talk to him. Number two, he stuck his nose in the stuff like, yeah, well, I heard this on the sideline. Whether it was visiting or home, I heard this on the sideline. This is what they need to do. This is what they're trying to get done. Doc on the sidelines, Cooley in the booth. That's it. There it is. Right there.
Okay. I can live with that.
But
the question is, has Josh Harris sent that plane out to Utah State or wherever Cooley is in a shack hugged up with his wife and like took an olive branch out there? Because he's going to go to Cooley to get Cooley back here.
Well, you know how to get that. And Ross says, I like Doc on the sidelines. I do too. I love Doc on the sidelines. I love Doc.
Sidelines is perfect. Saying
that's what I'm saying on sidelines.
Booth, I don't want Wyoming. Okay, so we send it to Wyoming. Wherever it is, you probably got land in his crops somewhere. Hopefully you pick the flat part of it. You know, don't mess up his corn. And you know.
Well, you know, you're gonna have to read the pregame show, the radio pregame show is gonna have to be redone now. because
Wow.
Scott Jackson's going back down south.
Okay, that's Scott Jackson. You just throw Earl Forsey in there. And
Do you like anybody?
I said, didn't I just say Earl Forsey?
Do you like anybody?
I said I like Earl Forsey.
Oh
I like Doc on the sideline.
I'm with all my guys. I think it's because of me. I'm starting to feel real slighted. I'm feeling a lot of heat coming off of that.
Here we go. Now. See, the only problem with this is he might have other commitments, Russ. I can't say anything more than that. I just know he might have some other commitments.
I'll get Chris Russell to do pregame.
Chris Russell will be too hyped up. I love Chris.
The whole point.
I love
Chris Russell doing pregame. There you go. You get him and Kevin Sheehan doing pregame. Oh man, you're gonna be ready to put your mouthpiece and run through the daggone tunnel your damn self.
And Ross, I know what you know, so yeah. I know what Ross knows.
I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. But if you, because all this is gonna have to be redone. I know the pregame show is gonna have to be redone. You can either take what you have, as long as it's not Fred Smoot. I'm fine.
See, I would love to see, like, because of the rambunctious nature of them, I would love to see like Linnell Willingham and Smoot leading us up to game time. Or what's the kid? Oh my guy. He's my new guy. Toby Altizer. I like him. He's a young cat from I don't know where I think he's from Minnesota or Milwaukee. He does the baseball podcast with Grant Paulson. He's done a couple shows. He does some some work on the side, but I would love to see him get a shot. Him, maybe a Denton Day, because I think they got to get some of the younger guys into the mix. So like, yeah, Toby, maybe Denton Day gets some time and let them get on the mic, and Linnell. I think that could be possibly your thing, but they got to start it off with Earl Forsey. Earl Forsey got to be your beginner.
Now, let me be transparent here. I've heard some things. I've listened to Fred Smoot. He'll make some great points, and his knowledge of the game is awesome. It's great. What I don't like is when this team fails, they make a mistake, he's brushing it off like, well, you know, it's okay because he pulled his peck out and he pissed on the field and got a penalty, but you know, that wasn't even really a penalty, was it? Yes, Fred, that was a penalty. It was a dumb penalty because he could have went somewhere else. He could have went to the back, pulled a Lamar Jackson. Like, he justifies the bad shit sometimes. And I'm like, there's fandom and then there's delusion. And, you know, fandom and delusion are almost neck and neck, but you can tell delusion a lot better than you can tell fandom sometimes, I guess, if that makes sense. But he justifies the dumb shit. And I don't like that. It's like he doesn't want to offend the people upstairs. Like, if you don't want to offend that, like, look, this was a piss poor performance and we've done this plenty of times. Go back and listen to, if you have the Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, go back and listen to Redskins Rundown. Before it was DC Sports Rundown, it was Redskins Rundown. And we used to rip this team a new one in wins and losses. There was no, well, you know, they gave their best effort and, you know, just time just ran out. They didn't lose. They just ran out of time. Man, fuck all that. Tell the damn truth. Shame the damn devil. Like, the fuck? I'm not going to sit here and justify why we lost 13-10 when we had 3 missed opportunities in the red zone in the final 2 minutes. I'm not justifying the loss. You didn't run out of time. You fucking fumbled the daggone bag. That's the fuck you did. Call it what it is. He does not do that.
Tell him why you mad, son. Tell him why you mad.
I can't.
I be saying, son. I be saying. I'm sorry.
I can't take that. That's why. Come to Fred Smoot. Put Fred Smoot on TV. Put him on TV.
He's on TV right now. It's him. Who is it? It's him. Actually, you know who might start getting some more bump on what he does is Chick Hernandez.
Yes, Mr. Chick.
If
Mr.
Chick Hernandez is health,
pre-show.
if his health can keep up, I wouldn't like maybe he comes in the mornings with this on a Sunday morning show with B Mitch. You know, all that stuff is gonna have a flow, and I don't know if everybody's staying and how that's gonna go. But yeah, that coverage I think they have one of the better pregame shows for a team.
Yes, I agree.
So and they cover everything.
Here's the thing.
Only thing I don't like is the fact that we got Torrey Smith on there because he don't belong.
He's a Maryland guy. He's a Ravens guy, but he's a Maryland guy.
You said he's a what?
He's a Ravens guy.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
He gotta go to CSN Sportsnet Baltimore.
Yeah. He gotta go up there. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. But this is why I love when it was Comcast Sportsnet. What was it? It's NBC Washington.
Yeah, NBC Sports Washington.
Yeah.
And soon it's going to become Monumental.
And Ross say that's why I like Chris. He tells it like it is. Yes, and that's the best part. Having B Mitch on your halftime and your post game show. Now he's not with NBC Sports Washington anymore, but having him on those two, when something was wrong, you knew something was wrong because the ball guy went off, and when he went off, B Mitch went off after a loss one time, and it made national news. But when he went off, I watched it live, and I sat there with my head down, like I just played the game and I lost the game. I felt bad. My wife was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I gotta go put my shoes on and run laps." Yeah. Like, I can't have a performance like this no more. That's how B Mitch got to me. I was like, "I gotta go run laps." She was like, "You're okay." I was like, "Nah, I got to go run laps." You hear how he just ripped them? Like, I gotta go run laps. My fandom wasn't up where it needed to be. I didn't cheer them on hard enough. I gotta go run laps. But I get it. And Ross says about Torrey Smith, he's not family. Not at all.
It is.
No, not family. I mean, he's a Terp. I'll give him that. He's a Terp. But when it comes to this Commanders family dynamic, yeah, no.
So we're gonna do before we go on, because you just said a Terp. You keep saying Terp. So you're talking to something like towards. Let's look at the calendar, see what week 0 is, because I think week 0, maybe our Tuesday show is the cut downs, and Thursday show was a preview of college football.
Okay. So
I think that week is, and maybe Ross can look it up for us, but whatever week 0 is, I know Colorado. I'm sorry. Hold on. Colorado goes and plays TCU, which was kind of messed up, but it's all good. But yeah, so let's get that college preview in. Let's highlight. I mean, of course, the Irish, of course, Maryland, and then anything else that sticks out to us, maybe Georgia or whatever.
Let me ask you a question. Speaking of college football, and then we'll jump back to this Commanders camp.
Right.
And I'll ask you too, Rose. Do you consider UVA local?
I don't consider Virginia Tech local. The only reason Virginia Tech is considered local is because there's a bunch of people in this area with money that went to Virginia Tech, and they were able to get them pushed onto the radio. Because it's just not close. And I hope Eric Willer's not listening, because that's a whole rant for him. He could come on and give you 30 minutes just on why it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's why I asked, because when we talk, you talk local football, local hoops.
Ooh.
You talk that, and it's always, okay, you talk, of course, Maryland, Georgetown. Those are your two big dogs. You talk American. When you talk hoops, you talk American. Sometimes you'll hear UDC, Howard. But then you start talking Virginia Tech, and I'm like, well, Blacksburg is 4 hours away.
Right. But Tech has enough. But see, Tech is on 106.7 because they have a big enough following that they made it make sense for 106.7 to plug their stuff and put their information on. Because this is at the height of Beamer Ball and all that. So Yeah, Tech got on and 106.7 saw the value in it. Once they saw the value, they just ran with it. And Tech is on for football season and for basketball, if I believe. So yeah.
But now here's the crazy part. As far as we're 18 hours driving away from Florida, away from Florida State. Excuse me.
Oh,
we're 18 hours away. But I remember early 90s, never missing a Notre Dame game and never missing a Florida State game.
Well, you got to remember
network. So, and it wasn't a network; it was just a block of games that they were showing to be all ACC. So you had Maryland, you had
that was the Jefferson Sports.
Yes, that's what it was called.
Yeah,
and it never came in quite clear.
Nah, Jefferson Sports. If you went to like 50 or 20, one of those two, they would play the Jefferson Sport game of the week.
Yeah,
you could watch. That's how I would watch my ACC teams, or the ACC teams, I should say. On Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
And I forget the guy, but it's Mike something, the longtime commentator. He's probably retired now, but it was him, and then he'd have Doc on certain weeks. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get back into the big leagues.
Here's the question number 1 of the night. We're talking Commanders camp. 3 players in camp right now that you have your eye on.
I'm going first, or are we doing this?
Yeah, I'll let you go first. I'll go first on the next question.
Okay. So, number 1 for me, and this is, I'm just going to go ahead and take the layup, and that's going to be Sam Howell. I just want to see how the kid progresses, what he does. I mean, we're going to get a report every day from all the people that are out there. I mean, it seems like you can't name a DC radio person that isn't at training camp. So you get it for every show, you get a breakdown on them. So I want to just kind of see how that flows. And of course, I think the big day for him is that scrimmage with the Ravens. And we see how that plays out. And I think that's going to have a determining factor in if he's the starter week 1 or if he's sitting on the bench watching Jacoby Brissett. Number 2, and this is my guy off the beaten path. A guy that you didn't think about when we were doing cut downs, but it's Milo Eifler. The kid is super fast, super crazy athletic. He's like your 5th linebacker, maybe your 4th. And the reason I want to see what he does, because I think he can get in position so maybe he's the 4th linebacker, and we're not using David Mayo as much, and we're using his athleticism to get across the field. I think at times this team is taking the smarter guy or the guy that they feel like won't mess up over the guy that's just more athletic and better. And I think that's the only reason David Mayo plays, is because they know he's going to be in X spot when X is happening. Now, he might not get to the play, but he'll be there. He'll at least be close by. And I think this team has to kind of change some of that mentality and like let some of these guys learn and let some of these guys make their mistakes, because you got talented guys on this field. I mean, that special teams unit is special, especially kickoff and punt return, punt coverage, because they get down the field and they put pounding on people. They hit. So I definitely, that's my number 2 guy. And number 3 is probably another slam dunk layup kind of guy, but it's Phidarian Mathis. I want to see what the young 2nd round pick can do. He came out last year, only got to play the first game, but he was very impressive in the preseason. And I think with him, you got baby Big Van Vader and Ridgeway power bombing people. You could have a situation where they come out on a series and they're your 2 tackles, and maybe you bring them in later on. You bring in Allen and Payne on 3rd down, so they get some little pass rush in. Something you can save some legs in the situation. So those are my 3. I had a different person there too, but as I was thinking about this, I like Eifler too much.
Now, Ross says Casimir Allen, kicker, he's a kick return, kicker battle, which he steps up.
So hold up. So breaking that down, because it's Casimir Allen, the kid out of UCLA, who's a kick returner / punt returner. He's 5'8", 176. His senior season in high school, he had 72 touchdowns. Got to UCLA, didn't really play much. But he showed explosiveness on kick returns. We don't know if he's a punt returner. Kicker battle, he's talking about Badgley and what's that guy's name? Joey Slott. So we got those two. And then, of course, with the tight ends, I mean, I think our tight end group is strong. I think the problem is we're not sure if there's somebody that's dominant. Because I think Logan's fine. I think Cole Turner's going to be fine. I know what Joey Bates is. Or, I'm sorry, John Bates is. And what's the other kid?
Well, you lost Amani Rogers. He's on IR.
Right, you lost Rogers, but there's one more.
Brandon Dillon or Curtis Hodges.
Curtis Hodges. So
I mean, these guys are good, but they're no Hale Henches.
So back to our race. Okay, G, what are your 3 players that you're keeping an eye on?
That knuckleball did not move, did it? I'm done. Okay. My 3 that I'm keeping an eye on. Sam Howell be the easy choice. But I'm looking defense. I'm looking at Derek Forrest. Now that you got the spotlight, you got the starting role, I want to see what you do. I want to see how well you work along with Cam Curl. To be honest, Chase Young's another one. I'm watching Chase Young. I want to see how he responds to the movement, the knee. I want to see how that goes. But I also want to see how he fits into this defensive rotation, which we'll get into about positions. I want to see how he fits in this rotation because they were, if I'm not mistaken, a top 10, top 5 defensive unit while he was out. So I want to see how he fits into that. Offensively, I want to see how Brian Robinson responds. You got a full off season under your belt. Hopefully, pray to God, nothing happens, and he has a full season. Ross said, as far as Casimir Island, he set the record with the 72 touchdowns. We sucked at punt returns. I'm glad Mill could catch the ball, but damn, he never have changed. He never have changed field position. No, he didn't. He just ran side to side. I prefer Jamison Crowder over him. Like, geez.
But he catches the football.
Yeah. Antonio Gibson is the offense that unlocks. And in this offense, unlocks full potential. We will actually play. He actually play a lot of wide receiver? They say he will. They say he will be lined up a lot at wide receiver because he can cause mismatches because they're going to put a linebacker on him. And he's too fast for a linebacker. Second question. 3 positions you feel comfortable or uncomfortable with.
Is that an either or? It is an or.
Yeah, you put an or in there. Yeah. I wrote it the way you said it.
All right, so I'll go with uncomfortable first. I'm uncomfortable with our right tackle. That's Wiley. And the reason I'm uncomfortable, this might be some recency bias, but when I watched quarterback, I saw Max Crosby eating his lunch and being in Patrick Mahomes' face the whole game. I saw guys like just get around him, and Pat had to move. Now, maybe it was something on Pat because Pat had held the football too long. You never know because, I'm sitting at home. I don't have a call in my ear. I don't know what the hot is or whatever is going on. So, but Wiley, I will truly say watching that quarterback show, I came away concerned about Wiley. I'm comfortable with Cam Curl. I think Cam Curl is the glue. I think he's going to be somebody that just, as this goes along, he's going to show you he's worth being your next superstar on this team. And you got him in the 7th round. Uncomfortable. Punt returner. Because yes, Mill catches the ball. Then you got question marks. You know, you got actually this might be a place where Byron Pringle comes into play because we signed him this week, so maybe he's a punt returner / kick returner. He gets some of that playing time. You know, you're not gonna put Gibson back on punt returns, but maybe Gibson's your kickoff return. Like, you know, certain things in that return game was going to be an interesting element. So I think that's my comfortable and uncomfortable.
Ross says it happened quite a bit with Wiley.
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't know who said it. They were talking about, I think it was best offensive line. They were putting the best team together under Snyder, and they had Chris Chester as like the left guard. And I said, how the fuck do you have Chris Chester? He was a revolving door when he was here. Chris Chester used to back up, ole, all day long. All day long. He was a revolving door. How do you have Chris Chester anywhere in the last 23 years at guard?
It's not Columbus. Who's the other guy? There's a tackle, and I literally
God, I just had his name.
It's not Stephen Heyer. It's another tackle / guard that I had the same feeling about.
You're not talking about Ty and Seki, are you?
Ty and Seki. No, and Seki was good until you put him on the wrong side, and then once you put him to the wrong side, he got exposed against Dallas, and I think he was just a left. He wasn't a right, if my memory serves me correct.
Damn, I can't remember his name.
I'm gonna think about it, and it's either going to end up in the chat or I'm just going to blurt it out loud and
just come out of nowhere. Hey, wait.
Yeah.
As far as comfortable, I'm comfortable with our wide receiver room.
Okay.
Derek Dockery?
No.
He played under Shanahan though.
Under Shanahan, it's no offense, but it's a big white dude.
I know who you're talking about. Oh my God, Corey Lichtensteiger?
No, Corey's the guard.
Yeah, so was the tackle.
I think his number was like 66 or 67. Tom Compton. Thank you.
Tom Compton.
Here we go. Because I literally have Tom Compton, and I got a meme with the dude from the airport with the things doing this.
Compton was better at center. I didn't like him at guard. So
Compton played tackle.
He was better. I think they started him at guard once because he was a revolving door. But I liked him at center. He played center for a game and did up pretty good. But I was like, all right, leave him there. I wasn't a fan. That's the wrong. Will Compton, I was a fan of. Tom Compton, not so much.
Yeah.
Will Compton, I love Will Compton. But comfortable with the receiver room. I think we got a lot of talent. Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin. De'Ami Brown in the slot, maybe. I'm just looking. You still got Curtis Samuel. Like, man, we got such a young room. And then looking at the guys that we have in this room, pretty much all of them are organically grown. They're all draft picks here. They've never played in another team.
So the room is fine. I think the room they've set the room up for enough of a replacement. So hopefully you're thinking De'Ami takes a step, and then you don't have to pay Curtis top 5 receiver money or top 10 receiver money because that market has changed. So you don't bring him back after this season. Jahan becomes your standalone 2, and then Yeah, your 3 years is the Army if he steps up.
Yes. And I'm not taking anything away from Curtis Samuel, but I know Curtis Samuel, for the amount of he's been here, this is going into year 3 here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're going into year 3, in the last 2 years, my guy has been available for a total of, he started 13 games since he's been here. And he's only been available for a total of 22 games out of a possible 34.
That should be 33. Because the year before,
you're right, it was 17.
16. So it was 16 to 17 games.
So he has he has durability, but hopefully that changes because the training staff changes, and maybe we'll bring back Bubba Tyer and
No.
we'll be okay.
No. You gotta go forward. You gotta move younger. We need maybe Bubba Tyer, the 3rd or the 4th, can be the trainer, but not Bubba.
Okay, how about this? How about you bring in this new training staff and you let Bubba Tyer just sit there and just be a part of it? Because we didn't have these type of injuries when Bubba was running stuff. We didn't have.
But you know what? But the staff has been a problem since the mid '90s. Because if you tell what's his name, Robert Henson and guys like that, there's a lot of guys that blame this training staff or these training people about or for their injuries and for their issues. So, I mean,
one player that does not blame the training staff, and that's Tim Hightower. He blames himself that he didn't come back one time. He said, "I tried to go too hard."
Well, Tim's other issue was just Tim had like 2 or 3 of the worst knee injuries you could have. Like when you watch them, they just didn't look good.
I'll give you that.
So yeah.
But tight.
Let's get into Ross's. I like Ross's comment under the document.
His concerns with cornerback until proven otherwise, kicker and offensive line. Please explain to me why you got a problem with kicker. I think Sly is pretty good for what he is.
So Sly missed. I already know the answer to this because he listens to Chris. So he's going to tell you that Sly missed 4 extra points, and I think he missed a couple kicks during the season. So the extra points in the league like this is where it hurts you. That's where Badgley comes in, and where Badgley kind of has an advantage because Badgley was perfect on his extra points, but I think he missed 4 field goals last year, and they were all over 50 yards. So that's the Ross Rudder / Chris Russell answer to this equation. Now, corner, I understand because you got to figure out where you're playing these guys.
Right. I don't think Kendall Fuller. I don't think Kendall Fuller plays outside this year. I think he plays slot. I think he's a nickel / dime guy.
I just don't think he has the wheels anymore. So, I think he has to be outside and play. I think he's a good thirds corner or whatever we play that matchup. But I don't think he can't be in that slot.
Now, looking at the cornerbacks, Troy Apke, Tariq Castro-Fields, DeMarcus Fields, Emmanuel Forbes, Kendall Fuller, Christian Holmes, Danny Johnson. Danny Johnson's a special team guy. That's your special team captain.
Can't be your captain with Revo.
What do you mean? Danny Johnson's always your special teams captain. Ever since DeShays Everett left.
Nah, Revo's the special teams captain.
What?
Jeremy Reeves? The guy that went to that was the all-pro?
I know, but it's always been Danny Johnson.
No, it hasn't.
It's always been DeShays and Danny.
All right, we'll save that for off air.
No, don't get me wrong.
We got to show it not in front of the kids.
I'm not taking anything from Reeves. Reeves is a special teams guy too, so I'm not taking anything from him. But he's a safety. But Danny Johnson is that's what he is. You don't see Danny Johnson come. But off air. All right, off air. St. Juice, Sturgis, Whiteside, Wild Goose. Those are your corners. I don't see, and I'm gonna say this, and I know I probably get a text a phone call or something. I don't see Troy Apke making his team this year. I believe this will be Troy Apke's last camp in Burgundy and Gold.
I think as long as he can come back as a what is the word? Practice squad player, I think he's going to be around. I think it's Holmes, and this is my way too early prediction. Holmes, Danny Johnson, the 3 starters, and if you keep a 6, it's Wallace.
Okay. Ross says Bagley's leg isn't as strong and his kickoffs are short. That's where Joey Sly comes in.
Right, but you're not keeping 2 kickers on this roster.
No. Right. I mean, this ain't Madden, where you think your kicker's bad and then you draft the kicker and the kicker's worse than the kicker that you got, but you got him signed to a deal and you forget to put him on the practice squad and you carrying 2 kickers during the week. So yeah, this is none of that. Nah, this is none of that. Then your practice squad filled with real guys that's really, really good. Just dumb mistakes I've made in the past. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ross says Fuller hasn't been the same since he came back from the Chiefs. I agree with that.
I think he wasn't the same when he got to the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs started using them in that hybrid safety corner thing. Then he started playing some slot, and then that's kind of where it kind of ended with him for them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I agree with Ross. One of my uncomfortables is the offensive line because I don't know how it's going to shake out. And looking at the offensive line, like I like to build from the inside, from the outside in. I don't know Sadiq Charles. I don't know how to take him. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know who we're going to see.
So my thought is, I think worst case scenario for the way this plays out is Sadiq Charles plays 3 or 4 games, gets hurt, and then it's Chris Moore's job the rest of the season. I think Cosby shines inside that guard. Our questions become tackle and what's Nick Gates at center.
Because that's another thing with Chase Roullier retiring. Who's going to be the pivot man? Because I'm looking at left tackle. I'm saying, do you put Leno on at left and Lucas at right?
Leno's your best tackle, your best player.
Yeah, I believe it.
And then you got Wally at the right tackle, and then you got Cosme, Gates, and Charles to start the season.
So where does that leave Lucas as a swing tackle?
Yeah, that's always been his job. That's the only job he's good for. If you're stuck with Cornelius Lucas playing 16, 17 games at tackle for you, you got problems.
Okay. So I'm uncomfortable with the offensive line. My third position that I'm uncomfortable with is the linebackers.
Okay.
And I say that because Cody Barton, Jamin Davis, Milo Eifler, Ferret Gardner, Ejon Harris, Khaleke Hudson, David Mayo. It's a name missing out of there. That was my dog at middle linebacker. He was my starting middle linebacker on every lineup that I've done for the past 3 years. And that's Cole Holcomb. Not having, and when he was out, you could see that the linebackers were suffering. But once Sam Mills was relieved of his duties on the defense as defensive line coach, and Jeff Zaganya took over, you saw a different feel with things. And it seemed like they played with more instinct and they played a little bit better down the stretch. But I'm concerned because I'm afraid. Let's just say that. And Ross says Tressway was a special teams captain last year. Jeremy Reeves was an alternate. Tressway, let's just go ahead and say it now. Best punter in the business. Tressway, that's crazy. We got the best kicker and the best punter in the same state. Damn, that's crazy. You thought I was gonna go somewhere else, wasn't you? You thought I was gonna be a fanboy for Joey Sly.
I was worried about that at first.
Nah, but you got Justin Tucker up the road, up 295. as the best kicker in the NFL, and you got you got Tressway as the best punter. But looking over this whole thing,
so as you was talking about your man Cole Holcomb, I felt like you had a climax moment, and you just wanted to sing it. You can sing along if you want, bruh. My bad.
I'm gonna tell you something because I thought she was going totally different. I thought she was playing Cisco for a second. I'm about to say what. Like wait. I thought when you said sing it, I was like, what am I supposed to sing? Oh, myself time and time again. No. See, I thought you was going somewhere else.
Nah, you called me
the biggest climax fan in the world. Yes.
There you go.
No, hey, don't laugh at me. But I was riding down 295, listening to Meeting in the Ladies' Room.
Hey, man,
I was balling until I think I was doing like 80, trying to get home, and I chant.
You know what? I can't listen.
I was hitting that shit.
I can't listen to Mike J. Like in the morning, they play that Friday morning mix, and I was on the Beltway doing 85, going to work one morning. I was like, yeah, I can't listen to Mike J.
Nope. And yeah, it's true. Your music will dictate how fast you drive.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So if I'm laid back and I'm listening to R&B, we're gonna cruise. But if I got that Lil Jon cranked up, I got Nipsey playing. If I even throw a little Nas X on, I'm listening to Panini. Well, yeah, we about to ride. We about to really ride.
I like none of those.
You never heard Panini before?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm sorry. Hit the Ross comment.
You never heard? I'll send that to you later. Don't worry about it. Linebacker still available: Zach Cunningham, Damian Wilson, Miles Jack, Deion Jones, and Keon Alexander.
So Zach Cunningham, the Vanderbilt kid, played for Houston. I think the only problem with him is I think his legs are gone. He's still smart, but his legs don't keep up with his mental. Miles Jack just never became what he was supposed to be. Deion Jones is a thumper. Keon Alexander, I can't remember off the top of my head, but his name sounds. Oh, is that the Tampa guy? I think. So you know he's fast, but and Damian Wilson. This team isn't going to invest, and I'm gonna say this now. They don't care about linebacker enough to invest in picking up a linebacker. They're going to ride with what they have and see how it plays out, because they're going to believe that if they go with their 5 linemen with Ridgeway or Martin in the middle, and their front 4, their 4 first rounders, they can basically supplement what the linebacker or a third linebacker could do with their formation. So I don't know why we even try to keep adding linebackers to this team, because they just don't want to do it. Sorry.
I don't even know where to start, because we talk about identity, and we talk about not having an identity. That's something that you always say. When you say, from the first time you said that, I've always looked and was like, yeah, we don't have an identity. When it comes to linebacker, maybe it's me holding on to the past too much, but we had an identity with Fred Stokes, Wilbur Marshall. Who am I leaving out?
He's talking about middle linebacker. He's talking about Kirk Govea.
Yes.
Talking about Andre Collins. He's talking about Wilbur Marshall. You're talking about Rich Malott, Neil Okowitz, Mel Kaufman, Monty Coleman. You're talking in the bad years. You're talking Marcus Washington. You're talking London Fletcher. You're talking who else can I not think of? You think about Terry Crews, Marcus Patton. What's my guy? Well, Nico Noga was a lineman. Leonard, what's the dude they signed from Seattle? Leonard. what was Leonard's last name? It's not. It may be Simmons. I might be wrong on that. But they signed him out of Seattle like early '90s. The Jeremiah Trotter years. I'm sorry. That's all the linebackers I can think of.
But then you go to the outside. We don't have a Ken Harvey, and Ken Harvey did it for the longest. Like I forgot. Ken Harvey is a dude that he was in Washington so long. I forgot he even played in Arizona. Well, Phoenix. Like
I think he was on. Him and like it's like him, Roy Green, Stump Mitchell, OJ Anderson, and Jay Novacek. When they played with the Cardinals, they had their best games against us.
Yes. And I think about that and I'm like, damn.
So
okay.
we don't
have a
identity
point. So linebacker, that's why linebackers are concerned to me, because if you look at all those linebackers I named, I think Jamin Davis is the best out of the bunch.
Right.
So he shot straight to the top. Ross said Coleman was a dog. Love that guy. I did too. I was a big Monty Coleman fan. Like huge Monty Coleman fan.
So that's
Raptors. Go ahead.
No. So let's talk about the. I don't know. You've seen the sites at training camp, so let's talk about that real quick, and then let's leave out because I want to drop two things on the U.S. women's soccer game from last night.
Well, the sites, the turnout was great. The pop from the crowd. Like I wanted to play "New Day" by Patti LaBelle. Because it's like it's like, have you ever seen that skit where the chick didn't want to go through a breakup because Patti LaBelle would always show up?
Yeah. That's my joint.
That's what we're going through right now.
Right.
Patti LaBelle is getting ready to pop out and start singing. She getting ready to sing On My Own. Right. That's what Patti LaBelle getting ready to do. Because we just went through a nasty breakup. We just got out of a 23-year toxic relationship. And now everybody's, your family's starting to come back around. You singing Patti LaBelle, huh?
I said, because you can talk to him now.
Yeah, you can talk to him now.
Yeah.
And the family's starting to get back together. It's a new day. The sun's brighter. Pork bellies are up. The birds are singing. The sun's coming up every day. Like, it's like a new atmosphere out there at the park. You know, people that were dogging out because, they put bleachers up. They did that 20 years ago. Yeah, we haven't had bleachers in 20 years. People were bringing lawn chairs and sitting on the grass. No more. You got bleachers out there. And there's nowhere to sit. You're shoulder to shoulder, but the atmosphere is so high. I love it. Just the way it feels. Like I can't wait until the season starts. I haven't been this excited since I was a kid. Getting excited for training camp and writing letters to training camp. I remember I used to write a letter a week to Richie Pettibone in '93. Don't know if he ever got him. I wrote him a letter a week saying, one day I can't wait because I'm going to play for you one time and I'm going to show you that I learned all of this and I'm going to coach on your coaching staff and all this. I wrote Richie Pettibone a letter a week during training camp in '93. But I'm that excited.
Nah, I love that, man.
That's how I'm not gonna write Ron Rivera a letter every week. I might tweet him every week, but I ain't gonna write him a letter every week. But still.
So I think if you
bleachers.
Just do one thing as you look at the bleachers though. Look at everything around the bleachers.
Okay.
Not the people.
Not the people.
But it's some things on the bleachers. At the base of the bleachers. Says it all.
Is it the advertising?
There you go, my friend.
Yeah, I did see a lot of that.
Because there's a lot of stickers on that thing. And some of those stickers weren't there before. Like I tell people before, I'm kicking myself because I should have applied to Ashburn like 3 weeks ago and got me a job because my sales numbers would be through the roof.
Well,
because you can't. If you're going over year to date, you're gonna crush year to date. And if they're man, I don't know who's running this show, but if they're not smart enough to catch that, like you can't pay people bonuses off of year to date performances for that team because it's going to be so ridiculous, so ridiculous. But the thing I loved was they showed a picture on Twitter, and if you can find it, or if I find it, we're gonna post it to the Sideline Junkies account. But two of the biggest changes is, of course, the team store. Actually, three. Where the broadcast people sit in they're actually air conditioned tents. The team store is an actual team store with air conditioning. There's food trucks out there. There's actually people out there, which is more important than anything else. And I think Saturday, like the pictures we're gonna get from Saturday, it's gonna be a show. And I think the biggest complaint is gonna be traffic, but I don't think people even gonna care because they're gonna be celebrating this team and in this moment, loving this moment. It's gonna be fun times, man. It's gonna be a thing where you can see a whole bunch of burgundy and gold, whether it says Redskins or not. I don't even think people are gonna care that it says Redskins anymore. Now that's not saying I think they're gonna go back to the name Redskins. I think if you wear burgundy and gold, people gonna give you a high five because you're wearing burgundy and gold.
Yep.
And that's how it used to be.
You remember this? I know you remember. I ain't gotta ask you because it's one of your favorite movies. In Major League, when they started winning, and the two girls were walking down the street, and the dude was walking down the street, and they kind of looked at each other, and it was just like a silent conversation.
Right.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. It's going to be these silent conversations, but it's going to walk by.
I don't even think it's going to be silent because this place was never silent about that.
No.
Like, if you was that's my team too. You know what I'm saying? You go in a bar, you got that on, the guy beside you might buy you a beer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're walking back in like, I don't know how you can say it, but it's like we're going back into the golden ages almost. It's like it's definitely a rebirth, but I would almost say like all right, so you've seen Gladiator, and this is going to be a character change, and I know we gotta start wrapping this up. But if you think about Maximus ever entering Rome with the same pomp and circumstance that Commodus did when he came back from war, how he comes in on the horse, drawn carriage, and he sits there. If Maximus did this and how that reaction would be, like that place would be packed. It'd be like perfect example. It'd be the Coliseum and everybody going Maximus. Like Josh Harris right now is Maximus.
I'm going to say something, and we're going to save it for Sunday. If Josh Harris pulls this off, he will leapfrog. He's already above George Preston Marshall, and we're talking owners of the Washington franchise. He's already above George Preston Marshall. He's creeping slowly but surely every day past Daniel Snyder. He's going to leapfrog Edward Bennett Williams. And Ross already said it. He knew where I was going. He going to be right next to Cook if he gets them back to the RFK site. But we'll talk about that on Sunday. And that new development, we'll talk about that on Sunday.
Okay.
But Ross says he's all in.
There you go.
That's all I want to hear. Like, I don't know. I'm going to say this. Don't know for sure. I don't know if we're doing a preseason game and a regular season game this season. But I know I got a regular season game in me. And I like to go post-October. I like to go when it's cool outside. You know? So we get that together because we haven't forgot about the ribs and all of that. We trying to do that before it's just hot. It's hot. That's all. It's hot. But the ribs and a game in October, November, we all get together for that in that 400 section. Oh my God. And I've only been to one game where they lost. 2.
Titans game is 1.
They did lose the Titans game. So it was a Titans game. The Nope, 3. Because they lost the Houston game too when Alex Smith got hurt. We was at that game, Titans game, and that Rams game. So those are the 3 losses that I have on my resume as a Washington fan in the building. Before that daggone Rams game, they had never lost in the building. Like even Notre Dame won there. And another story for another time. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. What you got with the women's national team?
No, I just think last night as I watched it, they allowed the Netherlands to dictate tempo. I think the Netherlands had possession 58 or 59% of the game. The refereeing wasn't great. I'll give them that. And probably some of the glitches in the game was part of that. But part of it felt like they just seemed disjointed. Like maybe this is their version of rebuilding, or like reshaping the chairs on the deck, because you lose some of the stalwarts from the past. I think like Rapinoe is playing, but she doesn't play a lot. You know, you're mixing in the Rodmans, the Samantha Smiths of the world. I think that's her first name, Samantha. But you're mixing a lot of younger players now, and they're starting to go through this transition. And like last night when I watched the first half, I watched the team that just didn't, like, they were pressing. And they were pressing to the point where they would take bad angles to the soccer ball, and they gave the Netherlands the ability to cover more ground and keep possession much longer. Now, the U.S. did have, when teams do corner kicks, they're called set pieces. So they had some set pieces that they had success on one that scored their goal. There's another one that they got really close to, and the U.S. is pretty good at this. But right now, we need the U.S. to get past Portugal so they can get the next round. And I don't know, maybe they get to the semis, but I don't know how far this team goes. I don't think they're elite enough to be finals. But again, we're talking about a team that's playing multiple games, flying together for not the first time, but it's going to be interesting how they gel. Mute button.
Mute button one, me none. You just enlightened me to something new. So
what?
I didn't know you watched women's soccer.
I watch. If it says you, all right. So here's the thing. I watch. If there's not many sports I don't watch, but the second you throw USA across that chest, I'll watch just about anything. Like I'll watch. I don't watch many of the Olympic sports, but yeah. But I'm into soccer because I watch the men's, and like the men's World Cup. I also gambled the whole time because that's when FanDuel like first got started. So yeah, we was gambling every day on the World Cup. But yeah, no, it's I watch soccer. I'll watch basketball, baseball, football, whatever. I watch a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And I keep enough good people around me that when I have questions, I ask questions and they explain it to me.
All right. Well, it's Thursday. The next time you'll see this lovely face will be Saturday when the WrestleManiacs come with a SummerSlam pick show. So that pretty title belt that you saw will be on the line. I had promised that I would bring it back home in 2 weeks. So I'm going to get my picks together so I can bring the title back home.
You should show that on Sunday.
What? Show what?
The belt.
Oh, I had to get pictures from the Nubian Sumo because it's in his possession now.
I thought y'all had two.
Don got one.
That's who
Don has one in South Carolina.
Okay.
So he has one, and then we got that one that we got to pass back and forth. And then I was looking at a fantasy football trophy for myself. Like, I want to treat myself for winning last year. It's a tall joint about yay big, black football on the top with black jewels and everything. I was like, yeah. I think I'll make that for myself. But anyway, we got that coming up on Saturday. Sunday we'll talk about this relocation of the Washington Commanders and what was said today that may be pushing forward. And who's the third man? It was Snyder all along. We'll talk about that too. So let me see if I get it right this time. I gotta get. Let's go that way.
Yeah,
I almost for that guy, the Midnight Rider,
and that guy.
the big guy KG, and for Ross sitting at home, chilling.
Yo, we gotta get him on screen one time.
Yeah, we definitely do. Thanks, guys. Highlight of my day. Hail to the Redskins. Hell yeah. Of course. Thank you, Ross, for joining us. So let's try it again. For the Midnight Rider, I'm the big guy KG. For Ross sitting at home, we are the Sideline Junkies. We don't do no overtime, baby. We are out of here.
It's called